Good morning, second grade. Today we are going to work on identifying shapes by sides and angles, or another fancy word, vertices, which you'll learn about as we dive in. Today I'm going to do a big lesson on this, and it's going to help guide you through your new learning, the Let's Try and Problem Set portion of your math packet, as well as the rest of the learning this week. So please tune in, pay attention. There'll be some quiz work at the end, so I'll be kind of seeing what you got out of the video. So let's dive in. 2D shapes, that means two-dimensional. They're flat shapes that you draw, maybe on paper or something like that. They're flat. Two-dimensional shapes are also called polygons. A polygon is a shape that has three or more straight sides that make it up. When it has three or more straight sides, it must also have three or more angles or vertices. So let's look. The number of sides on a given shape can be marked by little hash marks, little lines that look like this. So if I want to count the sides on this purple shape, I'm seeing there's one here. I'm going to mark it. One here. I'm going to mark it, and one at the bottom. It's three different lines that make up this shape. So this shape has three sides. We also can identify polygons by the number of vertices or angles. A vertice is the point where two sides meet, and an angle is the space where two sides meet. Let me show you on the same shape. So let's look at the number of angles. This big C kind of shape marks the mouth of that angle. This side meets this side in this space here. This is the angle of the shape. The point itself right up top would be the vertice. So there's one angle, one vertice, two angles, two vertices, three angles, three vertices. We can identify this shape, as y'all know at home, as a triangle. A triangle has three sides and three angles or three vertices. We are now going to look at a chart of all different types of polygons. I will also upload this chart to the Padlet so that you can refer back to it. So these are the polygons we need to know, and I'll go through each of them with you. Here's the shape column, or the polygon column, number of sides, number of vertices or angles, and what it looks like in real life. So our first shape is the triangle. Tri means three. So if you think about a tricycle, a triceratops, three angles, three sides. That is a triangle. Looks like a yield sign or a piece of cheese in real life. The next shape is a square. A square has four sides, four vertices. You might think of a square envelope, though I sometimes think of a rectangular envelope, or maybe a picture frame, something like that. Now, you'll notice that there are several shapes with the number 4 for their sides and vertices. We'll talk about those separately in the next slide. For now, I'm going to keep going. A square has 4 sides. A rectangle also has 4 sides, though different from square because 2 sides are longer than the other, which we'll get to in a moment. So our next shape or polygon is a rectangle. 4 sides, 4 vertices. Parallelogram, 4 sides, 4 vertices. A rhombus, kind of like a kite shape, 4 sides, 4 vertices. A trapezoid, 4 sides, 4 vertices. A pentagon, 5 sides, 5 vertices. Here in Washington, D.C., we know the Pentagon building is in this shape because it has 5 sides or 5 angles or vertices. Penta means 5. Pentagon. Next is a hexagon. Hex means 6. So if you were to count these sides, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sides on hexagon and also 6 vertices. The last shape is an octagon. Sorry, it got cut off a little bit at the bottom. An octagon has 8 sides, 8 vertices, and you'll recognize it as a stop sign that you see all around your neighborhood. I want you to take a quick second to notice about this chart. What do you see when it comes to the sides and the vertices? What familiar kind of pattern are we seeing there? If you noticed that the number of sides is always the same as the number of vertices, that's exactly what I wanted you to notice. It is true that every time you have a certain number of sides, you will have the same number of vertices or angles. So if there's 3 sides, there must be 3 vertices. If there's 5 sides, there must be 5 vertices. That is really important when you're identifying shapes and polygons. Now I told you I'm going to talk about those special 4-sided shapes. They are all called quadrilaterals. Big mouthful of word. Quadrilaterals. So try saying that at home. Quadrilaterals are any polygon with 4 straight sides and 4 angles or vertices. So I'm going to show you the differences between all the different quadrilaterals. Think about quadrilaterals as like the big term. All of these things can be called quadrilaterals. However, they also have their own special name. So, let's look. This first quadrilateral you will recognize as a rectangle. A rectangle has 2 pairs of parallel sides. Parallel means that this line and this line will never run into each other. If they were to keep going, they'd go on forever and ever and ever. And then this side and this side are also parallel. They would go on forever and ever and never hit into each other. Rectangles have 2 pairs of parallel sides. The parallel sides form these right angles, which we'll talk about later this week. And they are different sizes. These sides are shorter. This side is longer. It is very closely connected to the square. However, the square also has 2 sets of parallel lines. But all sides of a square are the same length. So this side is the same as this, is the same as this, is the same as this. Whereas the rectangle has 2 shorter sides, 2 longer sides. The next quadrilateral is this pink shape right here called a parallelogram. A parallelogram has 2 pairs of parallel sides. However, it does not have those right angles, those nice clean L-shaped sides like the rectangle. So when I am talking about the right angle, it's like you could fit a piece of paper. If you were to put it right in there in the angle, it would fit perfectly. The parallelogram, it would not fit perfectly. Its angles are a bit smaller or larger. The next shape is the rhombus. The rhombus is much like the parallelogram, but shifted, so it's kind of that kite shape. The rhombus has sides that are the same length, parallel again, right? They're all parallel. However, it does not have right angles like the square. It's very similar to the square, but it doesn't have right angles like the square. Just like the parallelogram and rectangle are really close, but one has those right angles and the other does not. There's also the trapezoid. This trapezoid down here, you can see, has only 1 pair of parallel sides. The top and the bottom are parallel. They'll never run into each other. However, this side and this side are tilted in. So if I was to trace this line all the way up and this line all the way up, they would eventually crisscross. So they are not parallel. A trapezoid has only 1 pair of parallel sides. Now, it is important for you to know that someone could just call any of these shapes quadrilaterals and they would be correct. They are all quadrilaterals, but they take on a little bit of a different shape because of their angles. Quadrilaterals have 4 sides, 4 angles. Their names depend on the shape and the parallelness of their lines. Oops, there's one answer already revealed, but we're so far into this video that I'm just going to keep it going. So let's jump right in. Ignore that pentagon. It'll come into play in just a little bit. Here's our first shape. Can you name it? You could have said two names and I would have said you were correct. You could have called this a rectangle or that big umbrella word, quadrilateral. Either one would be absolutely correct. Nice job. What about this one? How many sides, how many angles? I hope you said 3 sides, 3 angles. It's a triangle. Our next shape. Take your time to count these sides before you jump at an answer. I'll touch each side. If you were counting along with me, you would know there's 8 sides. Do you remember the name of that shape? 8 like an octopus's legs. It's an octagon. Fabulous. 2 names I'll accept here. If you shouted out square, you're right. If you said quadrilateral, you're also right. It's in the quadrilateral family. Next shape, you remember this one from our quadrilateral slide? What's its fancy name, its special name? 1 set of parallel sides. It's a trapezoid. Nice job. What about this one? I'm noticing 1, 2, 3, 4 sides. So we know it could be called, good, a quadrilateral. 2 pairs of parallel sides, but one side is shorter than the other. Did you say parallelogram? If so, you're right. And then our last one, we already have the answer. So I'm going to work backwards on this one. For a pentagon, how many sides and vertices or angles should it have? That's right. 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Way to go, second graders. Jumping back in here. This last slide is going to help you with your problem set as well as the end of the let's try portion. So what they want you to do in this section is count how many sides and count how many angles. Now at the very beginning, I told you how we do that for polygons. We make our hash marks and we make those little scoops to find the angles. So let's start with this first shape. It looks like this. We need to figure out how many sides. So I want you, maybe with your finger, you can kind of point to the sides, or you can draw a similar shape, but I would probably just try to point to my sides and see how many you think there are. I'm going to mark them as we go. There's side 1, side 2, side 3, 4, 5, and 6. I hope you counted 6 as well. We know if there are 6 sides, how many angles must there be? I hope you're shouting 6. Of course, Miss Allie, the same number of sides, the same number of angles. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Take notice of this ginormous angle here. Remember, an angle is the space where those 2 sides meet. So that still is considered space, even though it's not a typical angle. So make sure you notice that. This shape has 6 sides, 6 angles. Let's look at this one. Take your time, really zoom in your eyes to count these sides here. Each line is its own side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm not going to mark the angles because we know if there are 10 sides, there must also be, you got it, 10 angles. Last one, really fun shape. You'll see it in your problem set today. How many sides? How many angles? I'm going to let you do the counting. I'll give you just another 30 seconds. Here we go. I'm not going to mark them. I'm going to invisible draw them. 1, 2, tiny 3, 4, tiny 5, 6, 7, tiny 1, 8, 9, 10, 11. This lightning bolt has 11 sides. Therefore, we know it must also have 11 angles. All right, time to get into that packet and do some serious work today. Use the chart I provided. Remember that fancy quadrilateral word is for any shape with 4 sides, 4 angles. I'll teach you more about the angles at a later date. So remember, quadrilateral is for any shape, 4 sides, 4 angles. And then they have their own fancy names that we went over in this video. Use the chart to help you. Be careful counting your sides. Really use those hash marks. And good luck today, second grade. Thanks for staying tuned this whole time.